Okay, so today is Tuesday, July 21st. 3 days ago, we had the March for Elijah McClain. And Elijah McClain is a very, very tragic, extremely sad, and devastating story and loss of such a light of a human being. And when you listen to the audio or just read the transcript of Elijah McClain's last words, he's illustrating to the officers, like, you know, who he is. And he mentions at one point that he's on the spectrum. And what stuck out to me, and I won't get into details, you can Google all the details of how he was murdered by the Aurora, Colorado Police Department and the ketamine and all that stuff. But he triumphantly, eloquently communicates that he's on the spectrum. And from working with, you know, a litany of children that were on the spectrum back in the day, from pre-K to, you know, high school, you know how tough it is. If you've been a paraprofessional in that position, you know how tough it is to get kids, you know how tough it is to get kids to identify what's going on with them, and then how to communicate it to us. The inherent dysfunction in that is never ever once do we have to communicate, do we have to identify what's going on with us and communicate it to them. And it just breaks my damn heart, breaks my heart that as a society, this young man went through that. You know, he was educated on who he was and who he, what he had to communicate to us normal needed folks, right? And assimilate to our normal needed, undiagnosed society. And it's so tough because we put him through that ringer. We put him through it, and he came out on the other end successful. And and law enforcement still put him down. He still wasn't able to be himself. He still wasn't able to get permission to live. And that kills me. And it makes me reflect on going into these special ed rooms and these resource rooms and learning more from the kids than they would ever learn from me. You know, because I guess the gist of this video is the question: do we need to make bodies that think differently than us assimilate to us? Or should we be assimilating to them? Should we be creating space for them? Or should we just be letting them create their own space and carve out their own space in society, and then we better understand them? And it's this stigma and this nasty disparity between what we see as a diagnosed mental illness or diagnosed mental disorder, and then we, you know, who are quote unquote normal needed, have to teach them how to be part of society. When really it should be us educating ourselves how to be allies to them, or support them, or even support other people around us to not stigmatize this in the first place. And it is such a long journey. It's such an arduous path in working in special ed and working with children on the spectrum, because like almost all the time you're learning that you just need to, they're just asking you for a little bit of space and grace. And that's really all they're asking for, is and it really takes you showing up and saying, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you? What do you need? Why do you feel that way? It takes you showing up and asking questions, not you showing up and demanding tolerance, or demanding a certain kind of behavior, or demanding somebody act within certain perimeters. I mean, the hell out of here with that. Like that to me, there couldn't be anything, I don't want to merit it, but I mean, it's a pretty violent act to put on somebody, to tell them that they need to be a certain way, or they need to explain their diagnosis to you, and they need to march to the beat of your drum. I think in working in special ed and with mental health, you have to open yourself up to it. You have to be the conduit to understanding. And what happened with Elijah McClain was most definitely a byproduct of that refusal and resistance for society to understand. Obviously, law enforcement plays a huge part in that, and law enforcement plays an insidious role in resistance and refusal to understand anybody outside of them. But I think it was a loud call to action for society in general to start opening themselves up to people that may not pick up on their social cues, may not walk like they walk, may not think like they think, may not talk like they talk, and really start to open themselves up to asking, or just open themselves up to maybe understanding and giving other people grace. How do you feel about that? I'm curious. Tell me in the comments below. I've thought a lot about this, and I don't doubt that there will be more on this down the road, but that's my 2 cents and my experience with that. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.